I will segue into one thing. We're talking about corporate portfolios. We're talking about venturing out. We're talking about a lot of layoffs and different things like that. We've both been through it. We've both bounced back from it. And we are seeing a lot of people heading out into this. And it's just totally new territory. It's like you said, some people have had that experience before and they kind of know how to manage it. And then there's the people that have never been down that path. I have conversations with both, and it is two completely different conversations. Can we talk about one thing for the people that have been in a position and one thing for the people that haven't? Is there any advice that you would give them to kind of help them figure out how to get the weight of the world off their shoulders in these moments?
Yeah. I would say, so starting with the people who haven't been through it, I would just say, based on my experience, take a listener first approach when you're talking to your friends and they're commiserating with you about, losing their job. Don't try to reassure them that, you heard this person got a job, or, don't worry, things will turn around, because what inherently that can feel like is it's incredibly invalidating to someone who's feeling like they're entering this like red sea of a job market and they're getting rejections left and right. Even if you have been laid off before, I think everybody's experience is so unique to them. So when you're trying to support your friends or your family members who've been laid off, just please take a listener first approach. And it's ask more questions versus giving advice. Ask, how can I help? How can I support? Rather than proactively like sending them job postings or telling them they should get in touch with this person. Because I feel like sometimes what that can feel like as someone who's looking for a job or figuring out next steps, it can feel as though you're not doing the right thing or you're not doing enough.
Absolutely.
And as somebody who, again, like when you get laid off from a company, it feels like rejection. And the last thing you want is to feel continually rejected by the people in your life who you want to stay very close to. So please take a listener first approach when it comes to your friends who've gone through a layoff. For folks who have gone through a recent layoff, first of all, if anybody wants to reach out to me personally, like I would love nothing more than to talk to you and just be kind of a pillar of support as someone who has gone through it. So please definitely get in touch. But beyond that, I would say, just kind of thinking through what are ways that you can. One of the things I would say, actually, and this is maybe a little bit of controversial advice, is I would say the first thing you should do as somebody who's been laid off is not just all of a sudden go and apply to jobs, especially if you're going to do like LinkedIn Easy Apply. I have been
Yes.
in previous job searching eras where it's really just been a numbers game. And so long as you put out enough applications, you would get enough bites. That's not the case now. We know this to be true. You need to have like 115% of the qualifications to be even considered for a role. And a lot of these roles are being vetted through by applicant tracking systems. So if you don't have a connection at the company, even if you are more than qualified, you're probably not even going to get on the phone. And again, like I said before, you just got rejected. It can feel like you just got rejected by a company. You are not in a place to start getting rejected again by countless other companies. And the reason that's so important is because you want to make sure that you are preserving and rebuilding your confidence, like we talked about before. So do what you can to rebuild your confidence first and foremost as you're venturing into this, job market. Think about ways that you can pick up streams of income. Maybe they're not full-time corporate jobs, but find ways that you can make money. I think it's really important to remind yourself that you have services that people are willing to pay for, and for you to just know your worth over time. So find ways to make money, whether it's signing up for one of these freelancer sites or, talking to friends of family who might be business owners who are looking for certain types of consultation. Just get creative as well. Like I know a lot of folks who do rover and house sitting as well. It's a great way to almost have passive income while you're also maybe doing your job search. Just think of ways of accruing different revenue streams. And then I really, really am a big advocate of fractional and freelance work, because I know so many job searchers as of late have gotten their full-time roles because they were contracting or freelancing for companies. And then those companies got to the point where they could hire folks as full-time employees. And their first hire was someone who was contracting for them prior. So I think contracting, freelancing is actually a great way to almost quote unquote interview with these companies. And it makes sense for the companies to do that because it's a much lower risk way of them to vet talent and then bring someone on board once they know that they can already demonstrate they bring a ton of value. So I would get into the freelance fractional portfolio career stint as soon as possible. But I think first and foremost, just make sure you're doing things and you're taking on opportunities that help you build back up that confidence.
I know I keep saying it, but I love that. I have a lot of love for you, but every conversation just adds to the reasons that I've got a lot of love for you. It is a lengthy, lengthy list of reasons why I think you're awesome. And that response just summed up a lot of it. Absolutely. I agree with you 100%. I think when you've been gut punched, you have to kind of get your footing. Because if your world is turned upside down, you may even go home and then have to hear from people in your personal life where it's like, not again, or whatever it is, you're dreading the whole situation. Get your confidence back, get some quick wins, take a
Yeah.
beat, get your breath, get your footing, figure out what's going on around you and what you need to put what you need to prioritize over what can take a minute for you to be able to get that set. So many, so many, so many things in what you just said that I really, really hope that people can take away from it and actually put into practice, because I've been there. I've been the first time it ever happened. It just rocked my world. And then for the times where I could see it coming, and what I learned was I'm going to negotiate my exit before you even start talking about having an exit. Let's put together an exit package. And I find it hilarious because in some cases I've left some places where on the back end I've had people say, "Oh, well, you got fired." No. I started looking at the situation and I didn't like what I was seeing. So I said, I would rather do it on my terms, and let's put together a package that I know was going to allow me to have that range, that runway that you just talked about. And then it gives me enough time to figure out what I want to be able to do. So I'm going to add that as a little extra part of, if you start to feel that you're in a situation and you see things that are coming up and you see the warning signs, don't just ignore the warning signs. Start putting some of those things in place that allow you to be able to kind of cushion your fall a bit,
Yeah.
and make sure that you can put those things in place.
Or I'll say, if it's not, again, if you're not in a place to leave a job without having another one, while you're seeing things kind of go in a precarious direction with your current company, on the side, start picking up consulting work. Just start entertaining conversations with folks in your network, like things that in earnest you probably moving forward should always be doing, even if you have a corporate job, but start laying the foundations outside of that job while you're still at that job. Because I just want to reiterate that it is not a financial viability for a lot of folks right now to quit a job with nothing else coming in.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Every time I have a conversation with you, I find more and more things to be able to talk about. And I think there's value in everything that you're doing. And you're a fascinating person. So I know if I feel that way, there are going to be more people that would love to be able to learn more about you. So if possible, I would love to have you back. But I'm going to stop it here and just say thank you so much for your time. I appreciate it. I appreciate you and the difference that you're making. I got introduced because you have your marginalized podcast, and that stood out to me because who's talking about marginalized people? Normally, everybody's talking about the shiny thing of how well everybody's doing. Nobody's really taking a look at the people that are off to the side. So I know I said I wouldn't go into anything else, but I did want to give a shout out to your podcast and some of the extra things that you have out there, because you're not someone that's just talking about it. You're someone that's actually out there making a difference on multiple levels. So I will tag the podcast in the description and everything as well, because people need to hear that, because you're bringing people in to be able to walk them through some of the things that we covered. And why not don't just take the lessons here, take all the lessons that you're putting together for people to be able to do something with across the board. Because when your world is turned upside down, you need all the insights, advice, and empathy that you can get, because you're not going to get it from a lot of places.